Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the August Moon Podcast. Today, I want to talk about a few things that I think is very important as you start to get older. Also, if you start taking it when you're younger, it's going to drastically help you as you age. Now, this kind of goes in line with what I've talked about in the past about joint health, knee pain, back pain, um, hip, and the need for replacement surgeries and stuff like that. Now, what I'm going to talk about is a few minerals that are highly important. Now, to start off, my grandmother, she's currently 95 years old, and several years ago, she was living by herself, and she had a patio with several steps on it. Now, this one night she could not sleep, and she said that she walked out, went on that patio, and started to go down those steps because she was going to go water some plants. And I don't know why she decided she needed to water the plants right then and there at that time, but when she tried to go down those steps, she fell, and she actually broke her femur, which is the largest bone in the body. Now, she was laying there from probably 3 in the morning until someone found her around 7 or 8 in the morning that was walking their dog. And while she was laying there, she had been moaning the whole time, and when this person walked by and saw her lying there, he said, "What are you doing there?" She said, "The hell with what I'm doing here. Call the ambulance." So they called the ambulance, they came and picked her up, and when she actually saw the doctor told her that he was shocked she had even survived the pain and had lived that many hours without any help. Now she's much better, and she can now walk, and she has total mobility that has since healed, and that was several years ago. Now, how can you prevent falls like that? There is a way that you can drastically minimize it. One of the things is you could start stretching on a regular basis, doing yoga, and if you're not doing yoga, doing stretching exercises, and keeping your entire body limber. That is one way. But the other is a mineral that a lot of people are deficient in, and if they are taking it, they aren't getting enough of it, and the body isn't processing it correctly. So what it is silica. Now, when you think of silica, you think of sand, and that's what I was taught in school. Well, your body needs a certain amount of silica, and what it does is it actually works on your tendons, and those tendons are less rigid. They do not become extremely stiff, because if they are stiff and they don't bend easily, what happens is that you try to stand up, and it's harder to do because it's stiff. And if it's kind of like, think of a tree. If a tree is not able to sway a little bit as the storm comes, the limbs and the trunk and all that would just snap, and the tree would be toast. But because the tree can bend and sway, it actually survives quite intense storms with high winds. Now, the same goes with taking silica. It keeps those tendons and the joints and the cartilage able to bend and move a little bit easier. Another thing that silica does is it actually helps the bones to be stronger, and it helps also keep some of the minerals in the body. It's great for your teeth, it's great for bones, it's also great for your hair and nails. It helps them to be stronger. So, how do you get silica? A lot of foods contain silica, but what I'm suggesting is that you get a supplement that is a silica supplement that you start to take on a regular basis, especially as you get older, where you're not absorbing enough and it's becoming more and more of a problem that people are beginning to have falls. Now, you need to make sure that you take this regularly, and as you do so, it's going to just make your life that much better. So they claim that if you, this is scientists and doctors, they claim that if you have a fall, the likelihood of you surviving past a year is very slim to none. So it's very important to not have your first fall. And for instance, if you live alone, or let's say you live with your partner, your significant other, and they are also old, and let's say that they can't help you up because they're also not able to be as limber and as strong as they used to be when they were younger, that's a huge problem. And let's say they didn't hear you, or they had gone out for a few hours, you're going to be in deep trouble. So silica is important. Now, it comes in several forms. You can get a liquid, which is one of the most highly absorbable, and then you can get it in capsule and tablet form. And I recommend that if you're going to go for something other than the liquid, I recommend that you get it in capsule form and try to find one with the least amount of fillers in it. That always is a good, safe bet to be doing. Now, I also want to mention that, as I've said before, one thing you want to be taking on a regular basis also is your magnesium. And take magnesium chelate, which is bound to amino acids, and your body loves to pull the amino acids in because that makes up protein. And as it's doing that, it can't break the chemical bond, but it's trying to, and it just pulls it right in. And what magnesium does is it causes the tendons and muscles to relax. As it does that, your tension, your stiffness, a lot of pain goes away, and it also helps the minerals evenly disperse in your body so you don't get bone spurs and mineral deposits that build up into stones, kidney stones, bladder stones, and things like that. So taking that with silica, not necessarily at the same time, but you can, that will cause a huge, huge piece of insurance, basically, that you're not going to be as likely to fall. Now, another thing to do as you start to get older is you should be working your legs out. And they have the leg press that I see at the gym. If you start doing that when you're younger, and you can keep that leg strength going as you start getting older, you're going to be far ahead of the game. Because one of the things that I notice is I see people trying to stand up that are older, and it's like they can't quite do it, or it's taking longer. And I work at a restaurant part-time, and I want to say that maybe 85% of the people that go there are over the age of 60, and I see a fair amount of people that are coming in walkers, or with walkers, and in wheelchairs. And I just don't believe that you need to get older and start to become more deteriorated until you are almost a nothing, barely able to move before you die. That is just something that I just don't think has to happen. I think there's several factors that go into that, including mental and emotional beliefs, a belief in aging, and that as you age, you have to become weak, dilapidated, and inability to walk and move and things like that. The next thing is not exercising correctly, and as you get older, copping out and saying, I just don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. One of the things that they found that kept dementia away, one of the only things besides eating a very healthy diet consisting of fruits and vegetables, is exercise. So if exercise is so important, and I'm telling you it's important to prevent falls, as well as dementia, why not incorporate that into your day? Even just a little bit. And one of the best things to do is walk. My grandfather and I, we used to walk about, I want to say maybe a quarter of a mile to, let's see, maybe it was a little further than that. We went 3/4 of a mile, and we would go, and he was always adamant that we touch the stop sign. Otherwise, he claimed that it didn't count. And once in a while, we'd walk a little further than that. But he would do that twice a day, and it may not have been much, but at least he was getting out and he was exercising. And I noticed that as he got older, he was still able to move, and he never did suffer a fall. Now, the other day, I was driving in my car, and I live by a road that's called Roller Coaster Road, and it starts to wind around, kind of like a roller coaster, and it dips down a little bit. And I am not kidding, I saw some elderly guy with a walker, and I am not kidding, he was running in the middle of the road. And I've since seen him a few times on the sidewalk and on the road. And honestly, I was so impressed and so shocked. I was thinking, my hell, that guy is like amazing. He's going to end up living and being so far ahead of the game, because he, even though he knows that he can't or isn't safe without the walker, he is not letting that limit him. He's saying, I'm going to take that walker and I'm going to still run, and I'm going to just hold on just to make sure I don't fall, but I'm going to still get out there and do it. And that's the type of attitude that we need to start to develop. As we develop that attitude, our lives are going to be improving, and we're going to start to feel much better in our lives. So make sure that you're taking notes sometimes when I talk about these things. I can tell a lot of information, and sometimes it's hard to keep up and remember everything that I've said. So I advise that you sometimes keep a little notepad or some way to take notes. Like I use my iPad here, take notes, and you can do that as well. And then just look back at it so that you can, when you're going to the store and when you're trying to stay healthy, you can remember some of these things. Now, that's all I have to say about that for this episode of the August Moon podcast. But I just briefly want to mention that I'm the owner of August Moon Organics, and it is an organic nutritional supplement company that strives to have the highest quality, cleanest supplements on the market. And one of the ways that we do that, there's several, but one of the ways is we do not add any fillers, binders, additives of any type to our product. Frequently, when you're looking at supplements or tablets or prescription drugs, they're chock full of additives, fillers, binders, and extra ingredients that you don't even need. I even see toxic dyes that are banned by the European Union that the FDA still allows into our product that they know are toxic, but they've lied to us and told us that they're safe. And I see them in your prescription drugs, because currently the prescription drugs, the companies aren't required to reveal when you pick up your prescription drug what the added ingredients are. They may just say that there's added ingredients, additional ingredients, and they don't tell you what that is. Unless you do some in-depth research, which most of us aren't doing, you won't know that. The next thing is my products are 100% vegan. They use no animal product, and I also package them in glass bottles. Now, why is glass so important? Well, let me tell you. plastic can leach chemicals out that are estrogenic, and they put estrogen in your body, and this can be very damaging to both men and women and children. Because of the presence of these chemical estrogens and plant estrogens, girls are going through puberty sooner, having their period at a younger age. Men are having problems with their testosterone levels. They're decreasing. They now state that every man over the age of 25, their testosterone starts to go down slowly like a graph, and it goes until virtually you have none left by the time you're dead. And this is just not normal. And indigenous people that eat the indigenous diet, they have found that their hormone levels stay healthy until the time that they actually die of old age. So those are a few things that I do. The next thing I do is I make sure all my products are tested to make sure they contain all the ingredients they say they do at the dose they say, and also I make sure there's no heavy metals or pesticides added to it. Now, you can find my products by going to august-moon.com. That's august-moon.com, and you're welcome to check them out and see the testimonials. And please feel free to contact me and send me a message if you have any questions about my products or about anything that I've discussed today in this podcast. My email address is justin@august-moon.com. That's justin@august-moon.com. If you send me a message and you have any questions about health, nutritional supplements, issue you're dealing with, any form of alternative healing technique, or my products, I would love to answer any of your questions. So I hope this helped you guys, and I hope you incorporate these supplements and the nutrients that I have recommended that you start using. And I look forward to chatting with you in the next episode of the August Moon Podcast.